Publix right now, but please help me understand, when was a box of cereal $9.29? Literally, for a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. And I don't know if the prices have been this high, because honestly, I don't eat cereal, but lately my kids have been into cereal, so now I'm here purchasing cereal. But y'all, one box of cereal, the giant size, is damn near $10 for one box. And the only reason why I'm about to grab two is because it's buy one, get one. It's BOGO. But y'all, these grocery store prices are insane. The smaller boxes of cereal are $5.29, but y'all, this is insane. I still cannot get over $10, well, $9.29 for one box of cereal. That is crazy. That's insane.
All right, headline inflation just hit its lowest pace in 8 months, but some everyday costs are still climbing. News. The Consumer Price Index measures inflation by tracking price changes over time. And over the past year, those prices are up 2.4%, the slowest annual pace since May. So what's happening? Like usual, it's a mix of some prices rising and some falling. Housing, the category that makes up the biggest chunk of inflation data, is up 3% over the past year. Food prices are up 2.9% overall. Grocery prices are up 2.1%, while dining out is up 4%. Energy is a mixed bag. Gasoline is down 7.5% over the last year, while electricity is up 6.3% and natural gas is up 9.8%. Used cars and trucks are down 2%. Apparel is up 1.7%, and while wages have grown faster than inflation over the past year, that doesn't mean that everyone feels ahead, especially if housing, dining out, or utilities make up a large part of your budget. And that's
y'all, $100 for what's in the cart. Lenny and Larry's, broken sandwiches, 2 things of relish, 2 things of lemon perfect water, and pouches, because my daughter likes these. Okay, $100 for this. And we don't think we have a crisis in America.
In 2026, millions of Americans are feeling the pressure of a cost of living crisis that has quietly reshaped everyday life. From grocery stores to gas stations, prices have remained stubbornly high, forcing families to rethink how they spend every single dollar. Rent continues to climb in major cities, making housing one of the biggest financial burdens for middle-class and low-income households. For many young adults, owning a home feels further away than ever before. Even basic essentials like food, utilities, and insurance now take up a larger portion of monthly income than they did just a few years ago. Wages have increased in some sectors, but not fast enough to match inflation. As a result, savings are shrinking, credit card debt is rising, and more Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. Small businesses are also struggling, facing higher operating costs. While customers cut back on spending, the causes are complex global supply chain shifts, energy costs, housing shortages, and economic policy decisions have all played a role. While the economy shows signs of growth on paper, many households don't feel that growth in real life. The big question now is this a temporary phase or a new economic reality? As 2026 unfolds, the cost of living crisis isn't just about numbers. It's about real people adjusting their dreams, priorities, and daily choices just to stay afloat.
So I'm not sure why no one's talking about this right now, but the U.S. housing market just reached the most unaffordable level in U.S. history. Worse than 2008 crisis. The median cost for a home now is $415,000. 5 years ago, the median cost for a home is $270,000. That's an increase of 54%, while the wages only went up 29%. Think about it like this. You need the household income to be $127,000 just to qualify for the mortgage. The median household income now in the U.S. is $80,000. Not to mention, existing home sales in 2025 came in at about $4.1 million. That's the lowest total of sales of homes in 30 years. Honestly, the economy crash is inevitable at this point.
Breaking news, data just came out in the US about how well our economy is doing, and it's not looking too good. Starters, the good thing is that unemployment rate fell from 4.5% to 4.4%, but that's pretty much where things end. In December, we added 50,000 new jobs, which is great in theory until you look at last year's data where we added 2 million new jobs. When it comes to the unemployment rate, many people are saying that it's lower only because more people are not looking for jobs. On top of all of that, the Federal Reserve said that they made a mistake in the month of October, saying that instead of losing 105,000 jobs, we actually lost 173,000 jobs in the month of October. The number of people unemployed for 27 plus weeks is growing. The amount of payroll we're giving out is shrinking. If you look at what the Federal Reserve is doing, their action plan, they're buying more mortgage bonds and they're printing more money, both to support the housing market and real estate market. That's what people won't tell you, is that we live in a K-shaped economy. While the rich get richer, the poor are getting poorer, and it's all tied to assets. In other words,
living in 2026 is so expensive. Everything costs more. And it seems like month after month, week after week, day after day, it just keeps getting more expensive to live. Food, housing, insurance, just simply existing is so bad you feel it every single day that passes. And then you got people who are just overboard optimistic, saying adapt, pivot, pick up a third, fourth, fifth job, find your breakthrough. Bro, I don't need a fucking breakthrough. I need stability. I need bills that stay steady and don't jump up overnight. I need groceries that don't feel like I'm making a luxury purchase. I need a plan that doesn't make everything worse with the false promise that things are going to get better. I just want 1 year that prices stay the same and don't keep skyrocketing. But apparently in 2026, that's too much to fucking ask for.
The 2026 cost of living crisis in the U.S. If you feel like your paycheck is vanishing faster than ever, you're not alone. Whether it's at the grocery store or when you're paying your rent, the struggle is real, and it's getting harder to ignore. Let's look at the numbers because they're honestly shocking. The U.S. housing market has hit its most unaffordable level in history, yes, even worse than the 2008 crash. The median price for a home is now around $415,000. To put that in perspective, that's a 54% jump in just 5 years. But here's the kicker. While home prices skyrocketed by 54%, our wages only grew by 29%. The math just isn't mathing for most of us. What we're seeing is a K-shaped economy. On one side, those with assets, stocks, crypto, and real estate are seeing their wealth grow. On the other side, everyone else is just trying to stay afloat. It's not just houses, either. Food, insurance, and even just the cost of existing are climbing every single month. We're being told to pivot or get a side hustle. But what we really need is stability and bills that don't jump up overnight. And don't let the low unemployment numbers fool you. While they might look okay on paper, a lot of that is because fewer people are even looking for work. Job growth has slowed down significantly, and the pressure on the average household is at an all-time high. It feels like a luxury just to buy groceries these days, and that's not how it's supposed to be. It's a tough time for a lot of people, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed by it all. We're all in this together, and it's more important than ever to stay informed and support each other.
What do you see then as the biggest risk to the economy?
Well, when you look out ahead, it's the question, wars and other things that could really shake up the markets. But the real question is will the consumer keep spending? In the U.S., we have the U.S. economy growing about 2.4% next year. But that's dependent upon a consumer that stays engaged. If the consumer becomes less engaged as we move into from 25 into 26 and slows down their spending, that's going to slow down the economy. So that's a risk. You just don't see it anywhere now. The second risk is wars and other things that could go on that could create shocks to the market. And, then there's the usual things, cyber events and things like that. But the real risk is, will Americans, if the companies in America employ people and pay them a little bit more, they will spend, and the economy in the U.S. will be fine. And then you have these investments in the stimulus from the Tax Act You have the stimulus from some of the investments coming in that ought to keep kicking in, and that's why our team went from 1.5% probably 4 months ago to 2.5%, 2.4% for 26 now.
The average car payment in America now, last month we got data that it's now $501 a month is the average. Okay, $500 a month invested from age 30 to age 70 in a decent growth stock mutual fund in a Roth IRA is over $5.6 million. That's what a car payment costs you. It's $5 million over the scope of your life.
There is a cost of living crisis in America, with millions of Americans struggling to pay for housing, childcare, health care. Maryland's state comptroller put out a report recently saying that working-aged, middle-income households are moving away to more affordable states. So how big of a problem is that? What are you doing about it?
I mean, it is a national problem, but it is a very big problem in the state of Maryland. It's just harder to get by. And frankly, it's not fair. When I'm watching 37% of young Marylanders say that they would consider leaving the state for one reason, housing costs. When I'm watching people who are saying, I don't understand how my energy bill went from $250 to $800, it's not fair to them. And I know, I think about my mom. I look at the situation that we grew up in. Like, I didn't grow up from a family of wealth. Like, this kind of stuff matters. In fact, my mother still to this day is like, why is my energy bill so high? So I get it every day.
And so what's your answer to your mother?
So, honestly, my answer is that we have not done enough to be able to really fortify the grid, to get more energy options. We haven't done enough when it comes to housing to be able to build more housing. And so the solutions that we have put on board, when it comes to things like energy, we've provided last year $200 million in rebates to Marylanders to make sure we're putting more money back in their pocket.
What you just saw isn't just a series of random clips, it's the lived reality for millions of Americans in 2026. We've been told for years that the economy is recovering, but when you look at the numbers, the math just doesn't add up for the average person. We are living through a housing crisis that has officially surpassed the 2008 crash in terms of sheer unaffordability. When a house costs 54% more than it did a few years ago, but your paycheck has only grown by half that much, you aren't just feeling the squeeze, you're being pushed out of the American dream. This is what experts call a K-shaped economy. On one side, if you own assets, stocks, real estate, or even high-performing crypto, you're doing better than ever. But for everyone else, the gap is becoming a canyon. It's not just about the dream of owning a home anymore, it's about the nightmare of basic survival. We're seeing record-high costs for groceries, utility bills, and car insurance. And it's happening at a time when full-time work no longer guarantees a full-time life. The government might point to low unemployment rates to say things are fine, but that's an illusion. These stats don't account for the people who have simply given up looking, or those working 3-gig jobs just to pay rent. The job market has cooled significantly, and for the first time in decades, the middle class is feeling the kind of financial insecurity that used to be reserved for the bottom 10%. We are working harder than our parents did, yet we're falling further behind. Ultimately, the cost of living crisis isn't just a headline, it's a human crisis. It's the stress of a young couple wondering if they'll ever have kids, or a graduate realize their degree can't cover their rent. As we move through 2026, the question isn't just when will prices go down, but how do we fix a system that values assets more than people? The data is clear, the videos are real, and the struggle is undeniable. We have to start looking at the economy through the lens of the people living it, not just the charts on a screen.